The blizzard hit Chicago like divine punishment. Kendra Williams watched from her window as the stranger collapsed against the streetlight outside her building. An expensive coat, wrong neighborhood, bleeding into snow turning pink beneath him. Every instinct screamed danger. But her daughter Amara was already at the door, hand on the knob, because Kendra had taught her that people mattered more than fear. She didn't know the man bleeding on her stoop was Choi Seungmin, didn't know he controlled 40% of Chicago's underground, didn't know he'd been watching her for weeks, that ending up at her door wasn't entirely coincidence. She just knew he'd die if she didn't act. So she dragged him inside, into her small, warm world of gospel music and leftover soup, and a 7-year-old who asked too many questions. She saved his life that night. She didn't know he'd already chosen hers. A woman just saved a stranger from freezing to death in a Chicago blizzard. She doesn't know he's Choi Seungmin, one of the most dangerous men in the city. She doesn't know he'd been watching her for weeks, tracking her movements, investigating her as a potential asset for his organization. She just knows he'll die if she doesn't act. Before we see why a crime boss would choose an ER nurse's door on the South Side, drop your city or country in the comments right now. I want to see how far this story about fate, danger, and impossible choices is reaching. And if you're someone who loves watching powerful men realize they've completely underestimated the women who save them, subscribe. Because what Kendra doesn't know yet will change everything. She thinks she saved him, but he chose her. And when she finds out why, nothing will ever be the same. Hit that button. The wind screamed through Chicago's South Side like something dying. Kendra pressed her forehead against the frosted window, watching the blizzard swallow her street whole. The radiator clanked behind her. 1 hour until the building's heat cut off for the night. She'd already piled 3 blankets on Amara's bed. "Mama, there's a man outside." Amara's 7-year-old voice was too calm. Kendra's heart dropped. She turned to find her daughter at the door, hand on the deadbolt. "Baby, step back." But she'd already seen him, collapsed against the streetlight, expensive black coat covered in ice, dark stains spreading across the snow beneath him. Korean, maybe. Face pale, lips going blue. He was dying. "Amara, go to your room. Now." "But Mama, now." The tone that meant no argument. The moment her daughter's door clicked shut, Kendra grabbed her coat. The cold hit like a physical blow when she opened the door, stealing her breath. The wind cut through her scrubs, but she pushed, forward, boots crunching through knee-deep snow. "Sir, can you hear me?" She crouched beside him. His eyes opened, dark, intense, trying to focus. Up close, she saw the wound. Knife slash across his ribs, deep and clean. Professional. Her ER training kicked in immediately. "I'm a nurse. I'm going to help you inside." He tried to speak, managed only, "Wihyumhae." Dangerous. "I don't speak Korean, but I get the message." She pulled his arm around her shoulders. "And I don't care. You're bleeding out." He was heavier than she'd expected, solid muscle under the expensive coat. Each step back to her building felt like miles. Her arms screamed. Her lungs burned in the frozen air. But she'd pulled her husband from a wrecked car 3 years ago, held him while he died. She knew what death looked like. This man wasn't dying tonight, not on her street. Inside the building's stairwell, the warmth felt like salvation. She half dragged him up to her second-floor apartment. Amara peeked from her bedroom, eyes wide. "Baby, I need the first aid kit. Under the bathroom sink." "Is he going to be okay?" "Yes." Kendra lowered him onto her threadbare couch. "But I need you to be brave and help Mama." "Can you do that?" Amara nodded and ran. The stranger's eyes tracked her daughter's movement, then snapped to Kendra. Even bleeding out, there was something commanding about him, something that made her small apartment feel smaller. "You have a child." His English was perfect, barely accented, not a question. "I do." She peeled off his coat, revealing the torn shirt underneath. "Which means you're going to lie still and let me fix this wound, because I don't have time for you to bleed on my couch and traumatize my baby. Understand?" Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or respect. Understood. Amara returned with the kit. Kendra worked fast, cleaning, assessing, applying pressure. The wound was deep but had missed major vessels. Lucky. Or maybe he'd been lucky too. Collapse outside an ER nurse's apartment. "What's your name?" Amara asked, hovering close despite Kendra's earlier order. "Seungmin." His eyes never left Kendra's hands. "Choi Seungmin." "That's pretty. I'm Amara." She tilted her head. "Why were you outside in the snow? Don't you have a home?" "Amara," Kendra warned. "It's all right." Seungmin's voice softened, addressing the child. "I got lost." "In a blizzard? That's dangerous." "Very dangerous." His eyes met Kendra's. "Your mother is very brave for helping me." "Mama helps everybody. That's her job." Kendra finished bandaging, sat back on her heels. "You need a hospital. Real stitches, antibiotics." "No hospitals." Firm, final. "Then you need to tell me why you were bleeding in a blizzard without telling me to call 911. Seungmin studied her for a long moment. The apartment's warmth, Amara's curious stare, the gospel music playing softly from the kitchen radio. Then, "Because the people looking for me have eyes in every hospital in this city. And if they find me, they will hurt anyone who helped me." Kendra's blood went cold, but she didn't look away. "Then I guess we'll have to make sure they don't find you here." Kendra woke up on the floor beside the couch, neck aching. She dozed off during her third wound check. Dawn light filtered through frosted windows, painting everything pale blue. Seungmin was awake, sitting up despite her instructions, staring at his phone with an expression carved from stone. "You should be lying down." She pushed herself up, joints protesting. "The storm has passed." He didn't look at her. "I need to leave." "Let me see that wound first." She moved closer. He tensed. "I'm a nurse, Mr. Choi. I've seen worse." She lifted his borrowed shirt, one of her late husband's. The bandage was clean, no bleeding overnight. But when she saw his torso, her breath caught. Scars. Dozens of them. Old knife wounds, burn marks, what looked like bullet grazes. A map of violence written across his skin. "You're not just lost, are you?" His jaw tightened. "No." "Who's after you?" "People who won't stop because of weather." He grabbed her wrist, not hard but firm. His hand was warm, calloused. "Which is why I must leave before they track me here." "Mama?" Amara's sleepy voice called from her bedroom. "Can I have cereal?" "Stay in your room, baby. Just for a few more minutes." But Amara appeared anyway, dragging her stuffed bunny, hair wild from sleep. She stopped when she saw them. Seungmin shirtless and scarred, Kendra's wrist in his hand. "Are you holding Mama's hand?" Seungmin released her immediately. "No, I was just—" "He was just showing me his ouchie," Kendra interrupted smoothly. "It's looking much better. Right, Mr. Choi?" "Yes, much better." He pulled the shirt down quickly. "Good." Amara climbed into the armchair. "Because Mama makes the best oatmeal when people are sick, with cinnamon and brown sugar." Kendra's phone buzzed. The hospital. Her shift started in 90 minutes. "I have to go to work." She looked at Seungmin. "You can barely stand without grimacing. If you leave now, you'll rip those stitches and bleed out somewhere." I cannot stay. With your daughter. You can and you will. Her voice was firm. Because despite everything, my gut says you're dangerous to your enemies, not to a 7-year-old girl. Your gut could be wrong. Could be. But I've been making life-or-death calls in the ER for 8 years. My gut's kept more people alive than dead. She met his eyes. Don't make me regret trusting it. The apartment fell silent except for the radiator's steady clank. Oatmeal's in the pantry, Kendra said finally. Eggs in the fridge. Amara knows where everything is. She can't have juice before noon. She'll bounce off the walls. Her inhaler's in the bathroom if she needs it, but she shouldn't. She paused. And if anyone comes to this door, anyone you don't recognize, you take her out the fire escape and run. Understand? Seungmin stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You are giving a stranger instructions on how to care for your child. I'm giving a man I saved from freezing specific instructions so he doesn't screw up basic childcare. She grabbed her coat. There's a difference. She knelt to Amara. Baby, Mama has to work. Mr. Choi's going to stay here and rest. You be good, okay? I'm always good. Amara hugged her tight. Will you bring me stickers from the hospital? If they have any. Kendra kissed her forehead, then stood to face Seungmin. Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them, a test maybe, or a leap of faith. I get off at 6, don't make me regret this. I will protect her with my life. The way he said it, like a vow, like something carved in stone, made her believe him. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The door closed behind her, and Kendra stood in the hallway, heart pounding. She'd just left her daughter alone with a scarred stranger who had people hunting him. Either her gut was right, or she'd made the worst mistake of her life. She took the stairs down, heading into the frozen morning, and prayed it was the former. Seungmin stared at the door long after Kendra left. The apartment smelled like cinnamon candles and something else. Warmth, safety, things he'd forgotten existed. His phone buzzed. Yoongi, his second-in-command. Boss, where are you? Park's men are everywhere, he typed back. Safe. Keep them searching north side. I'll contact you when I can move. We can extract. No, that's an order. He pocketed the phone and turned to find Amara watching him from the armchair, her bunny in her lap. Are you really from Korea? She asked. I am. Is it pretty there? Parts of it. He moved carefully toward the kitchen, testing his wound. The mountains. The ocean. Mama says mountains are where God lives. Amara followed him. Do you believe in God? Seungmin paused. In his world, God was absent, but this child looked at him with such open curiosity. I believe in people who do good things, like your mother. She's the best. Amara climbed onto a chair. Can you really make oatmeal? I can try. 20 minutes later, Seungmin discovered he could, in fact, make oatmeal. Amara supervised, explaining the precise cinnamon-to-brown sugar ratio with 7-year-old authority. They sat at the small table and she chatted about school, her best friend Jasmine, how she wanted to be a doctor like Mama. Your mother is a nurse, he corrected gently. Same thing. They both fix people. She swirled her spoon. You're broken. That's why Mama brought you inside. I suppose I am. She'll fix you. She's really good at fixing things. Amara took a bite, then grinned. This is good. You're a good cooker. Something in Seungmin's chest cracked. When had anyone last looked at him without fear, without calculation? His phone buzzed again. Another message from Yoongi. Boss, they're offering money for information. Getting desperate. Seungmin glanced at Amara, who was now demonstrating her chopstick skills with her spoon, and felt something close to panic. If Park's men found him here. Mr. Choi? Amara's voice pulled him back. Why do you look sad? I'm not. He stopped. She was watching him with Kendra's same assessing expression. I'm worried I might bring trouble to your home. Mama says trouble finds everybody. What matters is how you handle it. She said it with such certainty, like she was quoting scripture. Your mother is very wise. I know. Amara hopped down from her chair. Want to watch cartoons? Mama says you need to rest anyway, and cartoons are the best for resting. Before he could decline, she'd grabbed the remote and patted the couch beside her. Against every instinct, Seungmin sat. The little girl curled up on the other end, her bunny in her lap, and turned on some animated show about magical creatures. Within minutes, she was explaining the intricate plot, her hands moving expressively. Seungmin found himself listening, not to the television, but to her voice. So innocent, so untouched by violence. Do you have kids? Amara asked during a commercial. No. Why not? My life is complicated. Mama's life is complicated too. She works a lot, but she says being my mama is the best part. Amara looked at him seriously. You should get a kid. They make everything better. His phone buzzed. Yoongi. Park's men hit 3 of our spots. 2 dead. They're not stopping. Seungmin's jaw clenched. He needed to end this. But not from here. Not with Amara asking him about Korean food and Kendra trusting him with her most precious thing. Mr. Choi, Amara tugged his sleeve. The show's back on. He forced himself to focus on the screen, on her running commentary, on the strange peace of sitting in a stranger's apartment while his world burned outside. At noon, he made her lunch, grilled cheese the way she instructed. At 2, she showed him her drawings, colourful, chaotic, beautiful. At 4, she fell asleep on the couch beside him, her head on his arm, trusting completely. Seungmin sat frozen, afraid to move and wake her. His phone buzzed silently. He checked it one-handed. Yoongi. Boss, we've found Park's location. Give the word. Seungmin looked at Amara's sleeping face, at the drawings scattered on the coffee table, at the home Kendra had built from nothing. He typed, not yet, soon. Because for the first time in 20 years, Choi Seungmin wasn't sure violence was the answer, and that terrified him more than Park ever could. Kendra's shift was brutal. 3-car pile-up from the ice, more patience than beds, 12 hours of blood and chaos. But through it all, her mind kept drifting to her apartment, to the dangerous man she'd left with her daughter. She should have called the police, should have listened to every survival instinct she'd honed growing up on these streets. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. They are both safe. Made lunch. She is sleeping. Kendra stared at the text. The Korean Mafia boss was texting her updates like a babysitter. When she finally got home at 7, an hour late, the smell hit her first. Something savory, rich, completely foreign. She pushed open the door to find Amara at the table, using chopsticks to eat what looked like fried rice. Mama, look! Amara waved the chopsticks. Mr. Choi taught me, and he made kimchi bokkeumbap. That's Korean fried rice, and it's the best thing ever. Seungmin stood at her stove, looking absurd in his expensive torn shirt, cooking in her dented pans. He turned when she entered and something flickered across his face. You're late. 3-car pile-up, ice. She set down her bag, exhaustion hitting her like a wave. How's the wound? Healing. You did excellent work. He plated another serving, perfectly arranged vegetables, glistening rice, some kind of meat. You should eat. You look exhausted. Mr. Choi made it not spicy for me, Amara announced. But he says when I'm bigger, I can try the real kind with gochugaru. Kendra accepted the plate, trying to ignore how domestic this felt. A man in her kitchen, her daughter happily eating, the apartment warm and filled with the scent of a real meal. It was an illusion, A dangerous one. Amara, baby, finish up and get ready for your bath. But Mama, now please. The little girl recognized that tone. She scooped up the last of her rice, thanked Seungmin, and skipped off. The moment her daughter's door closed, Kendra set down her plate. You need to tell me what's happening. All of it. Seungmin was quiet. Then he moved to the window, looking out at the dark street, his posture tense. There is a war between my organization and a rival family led by Park Ji-won. His voice was flat. He ambushed me 3 nights ago. Tried to end it by ending me. I survived, but barely. Why not go to your people? Park has eyes everywhere. Hospitals, safe houses, known locations. If I surface, he finds me. More die. He turned to face her. I was supposed to freeze in that storm. Cleaner that way. Nothing about freezing to death is clean. It is compared to what Park will do if he catches me. His jaw tightened. Which is why I'm leaving tonight. I've put you in enough danger. Where will you go? You can barely walk without favoring that side. I saw you wince reaching for the pan. His eyebrows rose. You were watching. I'm a nurse, I observe. She stepped closer. You leave here wounded and hunted. You're dead by morning. Perhaps, but you and Amara will be safe. We're already involved. Her voice hardened. The moment I dragged you out of that snow, we became part of this. So you can run off and die somewhere, or you can stay here, heal properly, and figure out your next move from a position of strength. They stared at each other across her small kitchen. You don't understand what you're offering, he said quietly. Then explain it to me. If Park finds me here, he will kill you both. Not quickly, not mercifully. His voice dropped to something deadly. He will hurt your daughter in front of you to send a message, and there is nothing I could do to stop it. Kendra's blood went cold, but she didn't back down. Then we make sure he doesn't find you here. She met his eyes. I grew up on these streets. I know every corner, every person. If your enemies come looking, we'll know before they get within 2 blocks. Kendra. Besides, she picked up her now cold rice. Something tells me you're worth more alive than dead. Your people need you, don't they? They do. Then we keep you alive. You heal, you plan, and when you're ready, you end this war. She surprised herself with her own conviction. But you don't die in my apartment, and you don't die on my street. We clear. A slow, genuine smile crossed Seungmin's face. The first real smile she'd seen. It transformed him, made him look younger, less haunted. You are extraordinary, Kendra Williams. I'm practical. There's a difference. She took a bite of the now cold rice. Still incredible. Now tell me how you made this taste so good with my basic ingredients. 3 days passed. Seungmin healed faster than Kendra expected, moving through her apartment with increasing ease. He fixed her broken heater, taught Amara to count in Korean, made breakfast while Kendra slept after night shifts. A strange rhythm developed, domestic, almost normal, except for the texts he sent in rapid Korean and the way he positioned himself between any door and Amara. On day 4, Detective Marcus Hayes knocked. Kendra opened the door in her scrubs, already running late. Can I help you? Detective Hayes, CPD. He showed his badge, his eyes already scanning past her into the apartment. I need to ask you some questions about a man seen in this building. Korean, mid-30s, injured. Her heart stopped. I don't... Ms. Williams. His voice was kind, but firm. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here because a very dangerous man is hiding somewhere in this neighborhood, and I don't want civilians getting hurt. Mama? Amara appeared behind her. Who is it? Hayes's expression shifted when he saw the little girl. Something painful crossed his face. Just someone asking questions, baby. Go finish your breakfast. But Seungmin had already moved to the doorway of the kitchen, visible now, his presence filling the space. Hayes's hand went to his weapon. Step away from them, Hayes commanded. Detective. Seungmin's voice was calm. I am unarmed. The child is frightened. Please lower your weapon. You're Choi Seungmin. You're wanted for many things, I'm sure. Seungmin moved slowly, deliberately, putting himself between Hayes and Kendra. But I have not and will not harm this woman or her daughter. Hayes kept his gun steady. Ms. Williams, has this man threatened you? No. Kendra's voice was strong despite her racing heart. He needed help. I'm a nurse. That's what I do. You're harboring a fugitive. I'm providing medical care to an injured person. She stepped forward, positioning herself beside Seungmin. Last I checked, that's not a crime. It is when the person is wanted in connection with multiple homicides. Alleged homicides, Seungmin corrected quietly. Hayes's jaw clenched. He finally lowered his weapon, but didn't holster it. His eyes found Kendra's. Can we talk? Privately? Kendra looked at Seungmin, who nodded slightly. She stepped into the hallway, pulling the door almost closed behind her. Hayes moved farther from the apartment, his voice dropping. Ms. Williams, I understand you're trying to help, but Choi Seungmin is dangerous. He runs an organization responsible for… I know what he is. Do you? Hayes pulled out his phone, showed her photos. Crime scenes, bodies, evidence markers. This is what his world looks like. This is what happens to people who get in his way. Kendra's stomach turned, but she didn't look away. My daughter died 3 years ago, Hayes said quietly. She was 8, wrong place, wrong time. Gang shooting in Chinatown, territory dispute between Choi's people and a rival crew. She was buying ice cream. His voice cracked. So when I tell you he's dangerous, I'm not being dramatic. I'm trying to save you from what I couldn't save my family from. I'm sorry for your loss. Kendra meant it. But he didn't hurt your daughter. The people shooting did. He created the conditions that made it possible. Hayes pocketed his phone. Look, I'm not asking you to testify. I'm asking you to let me take him in. Protective custody. He gets medical care, a lawyer. You and your daughter stay safe. And if his enemies find out he's in custody, we can protect. Can you? She met his eyes. Because from where I'm standing, the only thing keeping my daughter safe right now is the man inside my apartment. The one you want to take away. Hayes stared at her. He's gotten to you. He's been honest with me, that's all. She turned toward her door. I appreciate your concern, Detective, but we're fine. Ms. Williams, Kendra. He grabbed her arm gently. When this goes bad, and it will go bad, you call me. Please. He pressed his card into her hand. Don't let your daughter become another statistic. She took the card, said nothing, and went back inside. Seungmin stood exactly where she'd left him. Amara was back in the kitchen, but Kendra could see the tension in his shoulders. He wants me to turn you in. I know. He showed me crime scenes, bodies. Her voice shook. His daughter died in a shooting, Chinatown, 3 years ago. Seungmin's face went pale. I remember. We were not responsible, but it was our territory. We failed to prevent it. He blames you. He should. Seungmin moved to the window, his reflection ghostly in the glass. I blame myself. Kendra stood there, holding Hayes's card, looking at the man who'd made her daughter laugh, who'd fixed her heater, who'd said he'd protect Amara with his life. Are you going to leave? She asked quietly. Do you want me to? She should say yes, should choose safety, distance, the law. Instead, Not yet. Detective Hayes just showed Kendra crime scene photos and begged her to turn Seungmin in. His own 8-year-old daughter died in gang crossfire, caught in a territorial dispute, killed while getting ice cream after her dance recital. Hayes held her while she bled out, and he blames Seungmin for creating the conditions that made it possible. He's not a villain. He's a grieving father who genuinely believes he's saving Kendra from making a fatal mistake. And Kendra looked at this detective, at his pain, at his very reasonable warnings, and said, "Not yet." She's choosing the dangerous man over the cop trying to save her. Now let me ask you something. You've watched until this point, and you're still deciding whether to subscribe. You care enough to watch a woman make an impossible choice between safety and the man who's protecting her daughter, but not enough to click one button to guarantee you see what happens next? Subscribe right now, because this choice, this moment, is about to cost her everything. That night, after Amara was asleep, Kendra found Seungmin on her fire escape. He sat in the cold, staring at the city lights, breath misting in the frozen air. She grabbed a blanket and stepped out. "You'll freeze out here." "I'm used to cold." But he accepted the blanket when she draped it over his shoulders, their fingers brushing. She sat beside him, the metal freezing through her pajamas. "Tell me about Hayes' daughter." Seungmin was silent for a long moment. Mia Hayes, 8 years old. She was with her father, getting ice cream after her dance recital. His voice was hollow. 2 crews met in that intersection. Territorial dispute over protection payments. Shots fired. She was caught in the crossfire. "Were you there?" "No, but I should have been." He looked at her. "I was supposed to meet with the other crew's leader that day, negotiate boundaries. I sent someone else because I had business elsewhere." His jaw clenched. If I had gone, if I had prevented that meeting from happening on that corner? "You can't know that." "I know she died in my territory. I know Hayes held her while she bled out. I know he begged me to call an ambulance faster, to do something, anything." Seungmin's hands fisted. "I did call. I did everything I could. But it wasn't enough." "Is that why you stayed, when you found out I had Amara?" He turned to her, eyes dark with something she couldn't name. "Partly. You have a daughter the same age Mia would be now. And when Amara looked at me without fear, when she asked if I was sad..." He stopped. "I realized I could not let harm come to her. Not because of me. Not again." Kendra's throat tightened. "Hayes thinks you're manipulating me." "Perhaps I am." "Are you?" "I don't know anymore." His honesty was brutal. "I came to this neighborhood deliberately. My men tracked you for 2 weeks before the storm." Her blood went cold. "What?" "We were looking for clean assets, people with no criminal record, respectable jobs. You were perfect. ER nurse, single mother, financially struggling. Someone who might agree to move money for the right price." He met her eyes. "I was investigating you when Park's men found me. The blizzard was real, the wound was real, but ending up at your door wasn't entirely coincidence." Kendra stood abruptly, the blanket falling. "You were going to use me." "Yes." "For money laundering." "Yes." "And you've just been playing house this whole time, what? Softening me up?" Her voice shook with fury. "No." He stood, moved toward her. "That was the plan. But then you dragged me out of that storm without hesitation. Then Amara shared her oatmeal and asked if I knew about cherry blossoms. Then you trusted me with the most precious thing in your world." His voice cracked. "You looked at me like I was worth saving, Kendra. Not worth using, worth saving. That doesn't change what you intended." "No, it doesn't." He didn't try to touch her. "But it changed me." "I don't believe you." "Then don't." His eyes held hers. But believe this, I will die before I let Park or anyone else hurt you or Amara. Not because you're useful, not because I need you, because in 3 days you and your daughter showed me what it means to be human instead of a weapon. Tears burned Kendra's eyes. I should tell you to leave. You should. I should call Hayes right now. You should. He pulled out his phone, held it toward her. Here, his number is probably on that card. I won't stop you. She stared at the phone, at him, at the impossible choice. Why tell me the truth now? Because you asked for honesty, no pretty lies. His voice was rough. And because if you're going to let me stay, you deserve to know exactly what you're choosing. The fire escape creaked in the wind. Below, Chicago slept under its blanket of ice. Inside, Amara dreamed safe and warm. I need time, Kendra whispered, to think. Take all the time you need. He stepped back. But know this, whether you choose me or Hayes, whether I stay or go, I will ensure you and Amara are protected. That's not negotiable. You can't promise that. Watch me. She went inside, left him in the cold, and sat on her couch with Hayes's card in one hand and the weight of an impossible choice crushing her chest. Her phone buzzed. Seungmin from the fire escape. I understand if you hate me now, but I meant every word. You saved me in more ways than one. Kendra stared at the message, then at Amara's closed door, then at the man sitting alone in the freezing night. And she didn't know which choice would destroy her. Kendra didn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Hayes's card on her nightstand beside her phone. At 3 a.m. she heard Seungmin moving quietly in the living room. Still awake, still keeping watch. She was about to get up when her phone buzzed. Mrs. Lorraine, her neighbor. Child, there are men in the hallway. Korean. Asking questions. I don't like their energy. Kendra's blood turned to ice. She was up instantly, moving to Amara's room. Her daughter slept peacefully. Bunny clutched to her chest. Seungmin appeared in the doorway, phone in hand, expression carved from stone. Park's men, they found me. How many? 4 in the building, 2 outside. His voice was deadly calm. We need to leave, now. Fire escape. They'll be watching it. He moved to the window, looked down. They're smart, they've covered the exits. A knock on the door. Polite. Wrong. Ms. Williams? A voice, accented Korean. We need to speak with you. About your guest. Kendra's hands shook as she gently woke Amara. Baby, we need to play a game. A quiet game. Can you be very quiet? Amara, bless her, didn't argue. She nodded, eyes wide but trusting. Another knock. Harder. Ms. Williams, we know he's inside. Open the door. We don't want to hurt you. They're lying, Seungmin said quietly. He'd positioned himself by the door, and Kendra saw what she'd missed before. He'd palmed a kitchen knife. Take Amara to the bathroom. Lock the door. There's a window. It's too small for you. I'm not going through it. His eyes met hers. You and Amara are. No. Kendra. He moved closer, urgent. If they get past me, they will use her to control you. You know this. The door shuddered. They were kicking it now. Mrs. Lorraine's apartment, Kendra said suddenly. The wall between our bathrooms, there's a crack. Old building. If we can break through. How long? 2 minutes, maybe 3. The door frame splintered. Go. Now. Seungmin turned back to the door. I'll buy you time. Seungmin. Go. Kendra grabbed Amara, ran to the bathroom, locked it. She could hear men entering the apartment. Seungmin speaking in rapid Korean, his voice cold authority. She pulled Amara into the tub, away from the door, and started kicking at the wall where she knew it was weakest. Old plaster. Water damage. 1 kick, 2. In the living room, sounds of a struggle. Furniture breaking, men shouting, 3 kicks, 4. The wall cracked. A gunshot. Kendra's heart stopped. "Mama, I'm scared." "I know, baby, I know." She kicked harder. The wall gave way. "Mrs. Lorraine!" The elderly woman's face appeared in the hole. "Lord have mercy. Come on, child, quickly." Kendra pushed Amara through first, then followed, scraping her arms on the broken plaster. They tumbled into Mrs. Lorraine's bathroom. The hallway. "I already called 911, Mrs. Lorraine said, pulling them toward her bedroom. "Police are coming." Another gunshot, then silence. Kendra's chest constricted. She moved toward Mrs. Lorraine's door. "Child, don't." But she was already opening it, looking into the hallway. Her apartment door hung open. Through it, she could see overturned furniture, broken glass. 4 men on the floor, 3 unconscious, 1 groaning. And Seungmin standing in the center, blood on his shirt, breathing hard. His eyes found hers. Relief flooded his face. "You're safe. You're shot." She moved toward him, nurse instincts overriding everything. "Grazed. I'm fine." He swayed slightly, caught himself. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. "You need to run," Kendra said. "Now, before the police." "I'm not leaving you. They'll arrest you." "Let them." He looked at Amara peeking from Mrs. Lorraine's doorway. "Is she hurt?" "No, thanks to you." His shoulders sagged with relief. Then he straightened as heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. Multiple officers, weapons drawn. "Hands up, on the ground." Seungmin raised his hands slowly, dropping the knife. His eyes never left Kendra's. "Tell Hayes." He grimaced as they forced him down, cuffing him roughly. "Tell Hayes I'll give him everything. Park's locations, financial records, everything, in exchange for your protection." Seungmin, "Promise me, Kendra. Promise you'll take the deal." An officer pulled him up, started reading rights. Seungmin looked back one more time. "I meant what I said on the fire escape. Every word." Then they were dragging him away, and Kendra stood in her destroyed apartment, holding Amara, watching the man who'd been investigating her, who'd protected her daughter with his life, disappear into police custody. Detective Hayes appeared at the top of the stairs, took in the scene, the unconscious men, the destruction, Kendra's bleeding arms. "Ms. Williams," his voice was gentle, "let's get you and your daughter checked out." She nodded numbly, but as they led her away, she pulled out her phone and sent one message to the number Seungmin had texted from. "I choose you." Whatever that means. "I choose you." She didn't know if he'd see it. She didn't know if it mattered anymore, but she needed him to know. The hospital kept Kendra and Amara for observation. Minor cuts, shock, but otherwise unharmed. Detective Hayes sat in the room's corner, silent, waiting. When the doctor finally left, he spoke. "Choi Seungmin is offering to testify against Park Ji-won, against half the Korean organized crime network in Chicago." Hayes's voice was careful. "In exchange for immunity and protection for you and your daughter." Kendra looked at Amara, sleeping in the hospital bed, Bunny tucked under her arm. What does that mean? Protection? Witness protection if needed. New identities, relocation, the works. He paused. "Or security detail here if you prefer to stay. Your choice." "What happens to him?" "Reduced sentence, maybe federal custody, maybe supervised release, depending on how valuable his testimony is." Hayes met her eyes. "He'll spend time locked up, Kendra, but he'll be alive." "And if I don't take the deal?" "Then he goes away for life. Park's organization keeps operating, and you stay in, the crosshairs." His voice hardened. "Those men who broke into your apartment, they're already lawyered up. They'll be out in 48 hours, and they know where you live. Kendra's hands clenched. Can I see him? Seungmin? Hayes considered. Against protocol. But given that he's cooperating because of you, I'll arrange it. 20 minutes. Supervised. They brought her to an interrogation room in the precinct. Seungmin sat at a metal table, hands cuffed, fresh bandages visible under his jail-issue shirt. When she entered, his entire body went rigid. You came. 20 minutes. Kendra sat across from him, acutely aware of Hayes watching through the glass. Hayes told me about your deal. And? Why? Her voice cracked. You could negotiate for yourself. Better terms, shorter sentence. Why use it all on me? Because you matter more. Simple, final. You and Amara. You barely know us. I know enough. He leaned forward as much as the cuffs allowed. I know you saved a stranger in a blizzard without hesitation. I know Amara asks if people are sad because she was taught to care. I know you've built a life from nothing and refuse to compromise your principles even when it costs you. His voice dropped. I know that for 3 days you showed me what it means to be human, and I know I would burn everything I've built to keep you both safe. That's not... She couldn't finish. Love? He smiled sadly. Maybe not. But it's close enough that I'm willing to spend years in prison to ensure you never have to look over your shoulder again. Tears burned her eyes. I got your text. I know. Yoongi forwarded it before they took my phone. His eyes searched hers. Did you mean it? I don't know. Maybe. I'm terrified of you. Of what you are, what you've done. Of how much I... She stopped. How much you... what? How much I don't want you to disappear. The admission hurt. You terrify me, Seungmin. But the thought of never seeing you again terrifies me more. Then take Hayes' deal. Let me do this one good thing. He shifted, chains rattling. Let me be the man you see instead of the monster I've been. You're not a monster. I've killed people, Kendra, destroyed lives, built an empire on fear. His voice was raw. But when Amara asked if I knew about cherry blossoms, when you trusted me with her, I remembered what it felt like to be just a person, not a weapon, not a tool, just Seungmin. What if I wait? She leaned forward. What if I wait however long it takes? Your sentence, your testimony, all of it. What if I'm still here when you get out? Don't. The word came out sharp. Don't put your life on hold for me. That's not your choice. Kendra, you don't get to sacrifice everything and then tell me how to live. Her voice strengthened. You don't get to protect me and then push me away. If I choose to wait, that's my decision, not yours. It could be years. I've waited for things before. She thought of her husband, of grief, of rebuilding. I'm patient. Seungmin stared at her like she'd grown wings. Why? Because. She reached across the table, her hands stopping just short of his cuffed ones. Because you made my daughter laugh. Because you fixed my heater at 3 a.m. Because you fought 4 men to keep us safe. Because when I asked for honesty, you gave me ugly truth instead of pretty lies. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Because I think I'm falling in love with you and I don't know how to stop. The air between them went electric. I love you, Seungmin said quietly. I've loved you since you dragged me out of that storm. Since you looked at me covered in scars and saw someone worth saving. Since you trusted me with Amara even though every instinct told you not to. His eyes held hers. I love you, Kendra Williams, and I will love you from whatever cage they put me in. Hayes knocked on the glass. Time was up. Kendra stood slowly. Take his deal, testify. Do whatever you need to do. She finally let her hand touch his just for a second. And when you get out, come find me. I'll be waiting. That's a promise I'll keep. She left before she could change her mind, before she could beg them to let him go, before she could make this harder than it already was. In the hallway, Hayes waited. "I'll take the deal," she said. "All of it, whatever keeps Amara safe." He nodded. "You're making the right choice." She wasn't sure about that, but she was sure about one thing. Choi Seungmin had chosen her in that blizzard, and she was choosing him back. 18 months later, Kendra stood in the kitchen of her new apartment. Better neighborhood, better building, courtesy of witness protection settlement, making kimchi bokkeumbap. She'd learned from YouTube videos, from Yoongi's occasional visits, from muscle memory of watching Seungmin move through her old kitchen. It never tasted quite right, but she kept trying. "Mama, is he coming today?" Amara, now 8.5, sat at the table doing homework. She asked the same question every week. "I don't know, baby." The trial had ended 6 months ago. Park Ji-won and 12 others convicted. Seungmin's testimony had dismantled 3 organizations. His sentence? Time served plus 2 years, supervised release. He'd been free for 3 weeks. He hadn't called. Kendra told herself it was fine. He was rebuilding, transitioning, finding his footing. He'd promised to come back. That was enough. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "I'm outside, if you still want me." Her heart stopped. She looked at Amara. "Baby, go wash up for dinner." "But I'm not done." "Now please." Something in her voice made Amara obey. The moment her daughter's door closed, Kendra opened the front door. Seungmin stood in the hallway. Different, thinner, quieter, wearing jeans and a simple jacket. But his eyes, those hadn't changed. They still held that intensity, that fierce focus that said she was the only thing that mattered. "You came," she whispered. "I promised." He stayed in the doorway, uncertain. "I wasn't sure if you'd still—" She kissed him. Hard, desperate. 18 months of waiting poured into one moment. He responded instantly, hands cupping her face like she was precious, like she was everything. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she pressed her forehead to his. "You kept me waiting." "I'm sorry. There were conditions, requirements, things I had to finish before—" He stopped. "I'm here now, if you'll have me." "Mr. Choi!" Amara's shriek of joy interrupted them. She came running, threw herself at him. "You came back. You really came back." Seungmin caught her, lifted her easily despite the time apart. "I promised, didn't I?" "Mama said you would, but I wasn't sure, and Mrs. Lorraine said sometimes people can't keep promises even when they want to. But you did." She hugged him tight. "Did you bring me anything from Korea?" "Amara," Kendra warned. "It's all right." Seungmin set her down, pulled a small wrapped box from his jacket. "I did bring something. Traditional hanbok for a girl who's been very patient." Amara squealed, running to open it. Alone again, Kendra touched his face. "You look tired." 18 months of bureaucracy and ankle monitors will do that. His hand covered hers. "But I'm here. I'm free, and I'm yours, if that's still what you want." "It's what I want." She pulled him inside, closed the door. "But we need to talk about what this looks like. My life, your restrictions, Amara's routine." "I know, I've thought about nothing. Else?" He followed her to the kitchen, saw the attempt at Korean food. Something soft crossed his face. "You learned to cook bokkeumbap." "Poorly. I can never get the seasoning right." "I'll teach you." He moved to the stove, examined her work. "You're using too much gochugaru. Here." He adjusted the spice, stirred, and suddenly it smelled right. Kendra watched him move through her kitchen like he belonged there, and something in her chest settled. "Stay for dinner," she said. "I'd like that." "Stay tonight." He turned, eyes searching hers. "Kendra, on the couch. We're not rushing this, but stay." Let Amara see you're real. Let me get used to you being here. She stepped closer. Let us figure out what this is together. What do you want it to be? Everything, eventually, she smiled. But we can start with dinner. They ate together, Seungmin, Kendra, and Amara. The little girl chatted about school, about her friends, about the handbook she was already wearing. Seungmin listened with complete focus, asked questions, laughed at her jokes. Later, after Amara was asleep, they sat on the couch. Not touching, just existing in the same space. I saw Hayes last month, Seungmin said quietly. Visited Mia's grave with him. Paid my respects. How did that go? He didn't shoot me. Progress. His smile was sad. He said you visited too, brought flowers. She deserved to be remembered. Kendra leaned against his shoulder. You both needed that. I have nightmares sometimes. About that day, about what I could have prevented. He looked at her. But then I wake up and remember there's a woman who looked at me covered in scars and saw someone worth saving, who waited 18 months for a man who didn't deserve it, who learned to make terrible bokkeumbap because it reminded her of 3 days in a blizzard. It's not terrible. It's terrible, but I love that you tried. He pulled her closer. I love you. I will spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth what you gave up for me. You already have. She kissed him softly. You came back. That's all I needed. Outside, Chicago settled into winter again. But inside, in this small apartment with terrible bokkeumbap and a sleeping child, and 2 people learning how to love despite impossible odds, it was warm. And Choi Seungmin, former Mafia boss, current supervised release, future uncertain, finally understood what home felt like. From a freezing stranger bleeding in a blizzard to a family eating dinner together 18 months later. Choi Seungmin chose her door, investigated her as an asset, and ended up falling in love with her instead. Kendra Williams saved his life, waited through his testimony and sentence, learned to make terrible Korean food because it reminded her of 3 days that changed everything. He came back. He kept his promise. And now they're building something real from the wreckage of violence and impossible choices. If this story moved you, if you felt Kendra's impossible decision, if you understood why she chose him despite everything, if Amara's "you came back" made your chest tight, then subscribing isn't optional. It's how you tell me you want more stories like this, more powerful men brought low by extraordinary women, more love that refuses to follow the rules, more endings that feel earned instead of easy. Hit subscribe right now. Drop a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the wall escape? The confession on the fire escape? The 18-month wait? And I'll see you in the next story, where another dangerous man is about to meet the woman who will change everything.